Hey guys, Dave Hubbell here with Hubbell Real Estate Group. This week's how-to video is how to do a market analysis or a CMA for your client if you're going to the listing table. So the whole entire video is going to be on our YouTube channel. Before we move any further, subscribe right now to our YouTube, click the button below, make comments, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube. If you want to see the whole entire video of how to do a CMA with our local MLS, the whole hour-long video is on our YouTube channel. But for right now, let me just give you a tip and tactic on what to look for when you're doing a CMA right now. Thanks guys for tuning in, and keep watching. Let's go get an escrow. I'm going to do 186 Irish Way, one that's not listed, and I'll use yours as a comp. Let's just see if that even is a...
Or do 280, I know is the same floor plan.
It is?
Yeah, and I don't think it's been on the market.
All right, so say the homeowner comes to me, I want to know what my property's worth. First thing I'm going to do is try to see if it's ever been on the market. You can see that it's been on the market. Great, that's all I care about, not necessarily anything about the house. I would take an old CMA, an old comp of the property. Again, if it hasn't been on the house, if it hasn't been on the market, I would go to Realist and I would pull up the tax records and I would print the tax records. I just need to know square footage, bedroom size, baths, just the basic information, lot size. That information's on Realist. It's on My First AM. You can call title companies if you can't get it here. If you get it here, you're just going to click on the listing. Cool. Here's our property. Here's our property. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1668 square feet. Again, I don't know what the condition of the inside is. I don't know anything other than the basic information. It's a 6,000 square foot lot, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,600. This is a cookie cutter house. No problem. What I would do then is take the listing number and I'm going to copy this. So you asked, well, what happens if I don't have an address or I want to do a radius or whatever? I always start with a radius search first on my CMAs. I just want to know what's going on around me. And instead of typing in the address, you always get defaults where it's like you forgot to put way or avenue and the system's like, I can't find the property. Just take the listing ID number. It can be 10 years old. It makes no difference. Then go to search, residential, and I'm going to plug that listing number in right here. Boom. So now all I'm telling the system is do a radius around that listing. I don't even care if it's the actual house. It just needs to be a home in the neighborhood. So if you can't find the house that you're trying to do a search for, find the neighbors. There has to be somebody within, down the street or whatever that's sold. Because all we're trying to do is get an idea of what's going on around it.
Do you always use the 1 mile when you do yours, or do you shorten
No.
that and tighten it up?
So this is what I'm looking for down here. I want active, pending, closed, active under contract, and expired, and withdrawn. Why? Because if I come up short on my listing, on my comps, I'm going to use that as, hey, this person tried to sell and they couldn't even sell. So what makes you any better than this person? So depending on what type of comps you end up getting, but I want to see the whole picture. I got 109 properties, way too much. So if I had 5 properties, I'd increase my radius. If I had 109, I'm going to bring it down to 20.25. And how do I refresh?
I mean, if you click in another field, it automatically.
Yeah, on another.
It's supposed to.
There you go. All right, so I got 8 now. 8 to me is still too small. I mean, again, I'm just trying to get data. I'm not trying to actually pick my comps. So too small, I want to get around 20 properties. Then I can manually go through them. I do not use third-party software to plug in. I have a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,700. Give me my comps. So Cloud CMA allows you to say, pick my comps for me. No way. This is like raw data. You need to analyze it yourself. So boom, 26 properties. Perfect. So now I'm going to hit results. Over here, 3+ bedrooms. I don't want to put a 2-bedroom against a 3-bedroom.
Yeah, drop 23.
Drop 23. And when I went and looked at the neighborhood, I got to have at least a ballpark figure. I don't want to pull condos up that are 200,000. If I'm in a nice neighborhood, you got to have kind of an idea that, okay, those houses are between 600 and 800,000. You know, just a ballpark. That's a pretty big range. Where do I pull that information up? If you absolutely have no idea, you can use like a Zillow, or all these things are analytics to just give you a starting point, and then knock 50, 70,000 off this way and knocks 50, 70,000 off that way. But if you don't have a ballpark idea, then comps probably aren't going to be the direction to make this a comparable. You know, if it's not a cookie cutter type home and there's been sales in the neighborhood, then you're going to have a hard time finding comps in the first place. So now we're going to have to use a different strategy to come up with a valuation, maybe days on market or price per square foot or something along those lines. Like really look at the average price per square foot and start analyzing it that way to come up with your range. So if average homes are selling for 380,000 price per square foot, and you have a 1,500 square foot house, that at least gives you a starting point. What is the math on that? Let's see if that even lined up.
Well, when you put 600 in it. dropped
So
it
that
down to
came
200.
608. So 608 to 800,000, at least I have my range. Boom, so I'm back down to 12. So now jump up to 1 mile.
The property's hard because like you go up literally less than a quarter of a mile up the street, all those houses have ocean views.
We'll get into that. We'll get into that. So all we know right now is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1668 square feet with a 6,000 square foot lot, right? That's what we know. So now I'm going to hit results. Boom, everything comes up. First thing I'm going to do is put them in price square, low to high. Then I'm looking for anything that, here's one on Irish right here that sold. Irish we're looking on Irish Street. So here's an Irish. And you do have to kind of know the streets a little bit. Tell me if anybody, Irma Way, there's another, no, that's Toucan Terrace.
That's,
Yeah.
Sea View is, this house that she's talking about is in Sea View, which is our HOA. It's literally a circle.
Yep.
And it's only one street.
Here's another Irish Way that's active. Oh, there's our property right there. And okay. So because the property has been on the MLS, well, which one were we looking at? We were looking at 280. Okay. So this is not our property, but I'm going to click on it. And I'm going to look 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1858 square feet. So we're 200 and something square feet bigger on a double the size lot. That's a significant difference from 280 versus 289. Larger lot, bigger house. Just write notes about that. Larger lot, bigger house. This one's been on for 32 days. It's been active and it obviously has not sold at 739. At 390 price per square foot. Let's see if anything else is looking at the pictures real quick. Because this is a cookie cutter house and I'm doing 280, this is a great comp. I just have to go through and go, okay, let's see what the condition on the inside is. Looks like a standard 1990s, yeah, 94. Carpet, let's see if that tile, countertops is tile. This is a straight out of the 1990s home, no upgrades. So it's not like I'm nitpicking everything. I'm just in my head, no upgrades, built in the 90s, large lot, larger than mine. So if my house on 280 has been remodeled, that's going to offset these that have not been remodeled. Yeah, but I don't need to go through and be like, well, I got granite for $1,300 or $13,000 and I got countertops and I got cabinets and this. No, you got a remodeled property versus an unremodeled property. You just put a blanket there. All right. So I'm going to click this one because this is a good comp. Then I'm going to go back to my one line agent. And now I'm going to go back to that other one on Irish that sold at 675. All right, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, a little bit smaller house. But do you think 100 square feet makes a huge difference to a buyer's perspective of value? If they walk in and they go, oh, this feels like it's 1580 square feet, not 1650. Never had a client do
Would
that.
that be because this is a single or two-car and a three-car?
Is garage living space.
No.
Now, with the
Does
perspective,
that matter when it comes
yes. Now, with the perspective to a buyer, a 2-car versus a 3-car bring value to a property. Absolutely. What type of value? 10 grand, 5 grand? You know, not an overwhelming of not the cost to actually build it, but just an idea. If everything is all the same and then you have a 2-car versus 3-car, it's also not a matter of price. It's a matter of seller's motivation. You have a better product than that person down the street. So if this person down the street has been on the market for 20 days and your seller's motivation is, I want to sell, well, we need to beat the next product on the market because your product is better. If I had a buyer that walked into the house down the street and walked into yours and you have a 3-car garage, they're going to want yours regardless of if the price is there. But if the price beats them and you have a better product, you have a better chance of getting that buyer. And it only takes to one. So all we have to do is beat them by $500. We have to beat them by $1,000. Beat them by, even if you priced it the exact same, we have a better product. So would you rather price it up and then try to come and settle at the same price, or show that we're the same exact on the market and we're going to collect that buyer first? And we're piggybacking off of their marketing. They've already tested the market. Really, is it really a big difference if you got $2,000, $3,000 more in this type of market? They've already tested it and no one's coming. It hasn't sold yet. It's like, you know, we're going to negotiate when we get an offer anyway. That's what buyers do. So this one did close. It closed in 17 days. If the average home is sitting on the market and it takes 60 days, I do look at this on my old comps and I go, okay, someone sold in 1-2 days. They left money on the table. It's like, congratulations to that agent. That's great. But if it's sold 1 and 2 days and the average days on market are 60 days, then they didn't push that hard to make it happen. And if I'm talking to my client about it, it's like, are you wanting to push or are you wanting to sell immediately? You know, that is just a description of what happened on the market. That's not what is my motivation, my seller. My seller's like, yeah, I want to get the most money for my property. Okay, well, this we know for a fact everybody's going to see. So this is the range. If you want to push a little more, I'm okay with coming up to 685, 690, maybe even 700. I'm okay with that. I'm still within my 3%. You know, if this thing is very identical to it, 3% is my range. If I'm within 3%, I don't care where they put the price. Let me turn that off. Because 3% gets negotiated all day long. And I usually land within 1% of the price that I gave them an expectation. I don't go to the list table to tell them what to list on. I go to the list table to tell them what I think offers are going to come in at. There's a different strategy there. This is what I expect you're going to net. And this is what offers are going to be. Buyers are going to want to negotiate with you. You want to stay and get the highest money possible. So if we did that, we need to come here. But if you push me more than 3%, we're going to be sitting on the market for a very long time. So it really didn't even have to come down to the price. I gave them a ballpark figure. They knew what they wanted to sell their house for. And she said, I wanted to sell it for this. And I went, you're outside my 3%. That's my comfort zone. Like, do you want to list your house or not? Do you want to sell your house or do we just want to get activity? So 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Does anybody feel like this is a good comp based on the data that we have? 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,600 versus this.
Yeah.
Click it. Click it. I'm trying to get 3 actives and 3 solds. That's it. However, I am taking this page right here. I print this page. I put it in order from price and I take this with me. Because what do you think this shows me when I look here? What do you think I'm looking for? I've done my work. I'm looking for trends in the market. Trends right here in the market could literally give me a 15-minute conversation without even opening my CMA. I'm looking for, I got prices at 620. 625, 629, 630, 649, 650, 659, 675, 675. This is a market that is cookie cutter. If you see a trend that's like 620, gap, 670, you have a conversation piece. If you see a block in the market that's like this type of home is selling in the low sixes, and then we have a market here that's in the mid sixes, you have a gap. If you're in here in this high part gap and your client's trying to price over here, they're creating a market that doesn't allow, say, like a townhome. You have maybe these are 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 5,000 square foot lots. And then you have 3-bedroom, 2-bath with an office and views over here. And you can see the trend that, hey, you're here, but you're trying to get these prices. And now it's, if we price at 620 as the average and you're trying to price at 650, you're trying to create a market based on these comps. I'm not telling you it's not possible, but let me explain what the competition is and what we're trying to accomplish here. At a 650 price, that's beyond my 3%. That's 18,000. The most I would go is 638. You're trying to go 650 on it, creating a market. You're aggressively pushing the market to try to get your property value up to where these have views and yada, yada, yada. So it's, would you agree to settle at a 635 price? Would you agree that in 30 days or 15 days, when I get my data back, if we're getting a ton of views and we miss the curve, you understand that your days on market are going to be a lot longer? What is your motivation? I'm trying to sell immediately in the next 30. I'm trying to sell by the end of the year, 6 months, blah, blah, blah. Then I immediately know that I need to go in my listing presentation and talk about the importance of the bell curve of the first 30 to 60 days on the market. It guides me over here now. So it's all right. Well, this person wants to push the market. I need to make sure they understand the possibilities of harm it could do by being on the market more than the average on the market time. So if they give you that, you got to take them over here. That's your objection. They're pushing the market. You can see it in a trend. In your head, you're going, I see this clear as day. I got to make him understand it. Show him the part on the CMA that talks about the bell curve of 30 to 45 days, a hot part of the market. Then you're taking them down to, well, your coming soon property premiere, your excitement of the first 30 days. You're talking about that objection handling. But okay, so we got 2 comps. Wow, this definitely takes me on a tangent. Before I keep going on, anybody have questions on any of this? Okay. Irish Way. Now let's start going through. So we got 2 listings that we picked. I got 38 I need to go through. So I got Irma. This is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1359. Not horrible. It's over in Toucan Terrace. So I know that that's the next neighborhood over. This is still a conversation piece. I'm going to pick it. Doesn't even matter. Okay, it's 589. It closed at 620. Great, horrible comp, but great conversation piece. They're like, hey, buyers here are going to look in this neighborhood. They might have the same view as you across the street. Totally different neighborhood, different feel of everything, but the view, if somebody's view is important to them, or if it was a buyer in general, they're going to look at that property just like they looked at your property. It's not like they're, good Lord.
Just turn the volume off on the computer.
Okay.
Technical difficulties, everyone.
It's because of the battery. All right. Okay. There we go. It'll go
And days on market's at 4 on that other one.
on the other one.
On the one you just clicked on.
So good. I'm not saying that the agent does a bad job or anything like that. It's just I want to recognize to the client that someone that grabbed their first offer and it was perfect for that seller came right in that range, but they didn't test the market. So they just took the market for what it was. They didn't try to push the market up, but it motivated the seller. It was exactly what that seller wanted. But if my client is like, I want to be here, that is a hard negotiation to get them back down to here. So there has to be some sort of settlement, which means you have to give a little bit on your opinion on your price to kind of go, all right, am I within my 3% range? That I lean on my 3% so much. If I come to the table and I'm like 390 and they're pushing me to 430, I know we're going to end up settling. I'm going to push them to the 410. And I'm going to use that as an excuse to say, hey, come down with me. They didn't have a chance to really test the market. They took the first offer, or maybe they had multiple offers and they took the best, but they took it. They didn't test the market. So that means we really can't use this data 100% to really lean. Did the market allow more? It didn't give us enough time. So that's just an excuse to say it's hard to really analyze this property because it wasn't on the market long enough. But buyers are going to see it regardless. They're not going to think about days on market. They're just going to see the sold price. It is going to affect you. Even if it was 4 days on the market, it still affects you. It is a sold comp. We have to take that into consideration. All right, here we go. 4-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,600.
It's in Grover.
That's in Grover. No good. Grover and Pismo, huge difference. Let's see if there's better comps. Another Grover, garbage. Garbage. Why am I saying it's garbage? Big reason. Grover Beach, huge difference, even though it is just right across the street. That right there is huge. So if I run out of comps, then I have to come back to it and bring Grover in. But I'm going to go through my list first and see if anything's better.
On your criteria, are you single family homes?
No, I just did a radius
Okay.
because there's 38 properties. At the end of the day, I'm going to look at it and make that decision just by looking at it and going, not even a comp.
Yeah.
So moving on. I got 38 to make it through Brighton and Grover. I could do better. Newport, Grover. Pismo Beach. Okay. 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,400 square feet. It's up. Is that a toucan as well? A little further. Still going to use it. It's within, it definitely is the radius of like, if a buyer walked into the neighborhood and there's this neighborhood over here, some buyer's going to go look across the street.
That one's just above it. It might have more of a view. And I think the property you're talking about, Missy, has a view. A little bit.
From the yard.
From the yard.
Back, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Expired, Grover. So now I'm getting in Pismo and Village. 3-2, toucan. Might as well put it in. Grover.
I have a question, but I don't know if it's premature. In my thinking, single level was a big selling point
Okay.
for the demographic that would be looking in that neighborhood, or who wants Pismo single level.
Okay.
So
So
I don't even know some of these comps when I was like, no.
But again, we're not using it as comps to go, this is it. We're using it as conversation pieces to
Okay.
make sure she's aware of what the market's doing. Because where you're trying to find single level, a buyer may go single level, 2 levels. I really don't care. I want to know what's going on. I'm going to go look at everything.
So
Yeah.
you just, yeah.
I put it in there
Radius.
just as a conversation piece.
Yeah.
We've already gotten 2 comps that are pretty good
Yeah.
to be able to come to our range. And again, I'm not coming to them on this is what I think we need to list for. I don't put that down on my CMA. I say this is what I think offers are going to come in at. I come to the table with the mindset of what is the buyer's perception of the market, not what is your house worth. It's what do I think buyers are going to beat you up on? What are buyers' competition? Where are buyers going to be looking? And how do we get in front of our competition? And then is that in line with what you think the value of your house is? I do tell the client, don't even tell me, just like I told you, don't tell me your price. I'm going to write my price down. I want you to write your price down. Because at the end of the day, they have to explain why they came up with that value to me, just as I'm explaining to them. Who's going to be more prepared?
Yeah.
It's like, I'm going to have tons of data about market. They're going to have, I have a beautiful countertops and I have a 3-car garage and this, and they're going to put,
I need this amount to
or I need this amount to make this work. Those are not controllable things that a buyer's perspective cares about, so if I was a buyer and I was walking down the street and I looked at your house and then there's a house next door in a neighborhood that has nothing to do with it, I'm still going to go look at it. And if I look at it, if there's a huge difference in value, that can sway someone's mind of whether they're going to buy, because they can live with the crappy carpet if they're saving $50,000. Yeah. So I didn't even need to talk about anything else but that. And I'm done. Like, let me hear from you on why you think your value is. Okay, well, here's 2 in the neighborhood that have sold. I could literally close a deal with just those 2 comps, because just talking about them, about the perspective of a buyer's mindset. Stick with that, because it's hard to like go, it's hard to argue that.
Okay, so what do you do when you're on a listing appointment and Sally, homeowner, says, well, Molly down the street, it's showing that she sold her house for $800,000, but I know Molly gave them $10,000 at closing for new carpet.
Perspective of a buyer. What does a buyer see? Is a buyer going to be able to call that other client and ask them about that $10,000? No, but my job is to make sure that everybody's aware of that. So I will take that into consideration. That's a valid point. But on a buyer's perspective, when they're online looking at Zillow, laying in bed, are they going to be able to make that determination? And if we're getting people swiping away and not even coming and showing your house, and you're basing it all off of that, it's because buyers have no idea what's going on out in the public. Does that affect you? Absolutely. Is there anything I can control about that? Just if my phone rings, I can talk to them. I got to get my phone to ring, which means we can't push the market until they come in. Now, when a buyer comes in and they make an offer to you, are they going to try to negotiate? Yes. Can I use that as a negotiating tactic? Absolutely. But as a marketing tactic, it's going to be very difficult, because there's no data out in the world that to change a buyers don't know that. And buyers know everything nowadays because the information's public. We're no longer the gatekeepers of information. They're very smart when they come to the table, but they may not have all the information. So back to comps. What I'm looking here is just seeing if anything is matching with the address. Pismo Beach, Irish Way, we already picked it. I'm trying to stay away from Grover Beach because it seems like I have enough comparables to go off of. Balboa, Grover again, Grover again. I am keeping a track in my head what could potentially work if I run out of comps and I need 2 or 3 just to put on. Because again, it's a conversation piece. Yes, it's in Grover Beach, but this is what's going on out in the world. Totally different market. But let's say a buyer doesn't really care about the city. We need to be ready for that to know what our competition is. Maybe they're all about the view and they really don't care if it's a Pismo or Grover address. We need to know what we're competing with.
Well, like that one's AG and the lot size is similar, but the square footage is so much more. I mean, would you even use that?
Only if I have to. Right now, I feel like I have enough ammo to go to the table with that I don't need to take the conversation here.
But you could use it and utilize the price per square foot if you had to on something like that, where it's almost double what the square footage is of the other one.
Every single, I guess here's a good challenge to you guys. Every single one of these properties has something similar to the property you're selling. As a strategy at home when no one's watching, I'd be going through each property, picking a subject property and going through every single property I see on the MLS and trying to come up with a scenario or a hypothetical why I feel these are similar and differences. Because the moment you can do that on the fly, the moment you're better at your job. Literally, I can pick this property right here and come up with a 276 North 5th in Grover Beach. Now, Grover Beach is going to be a different territory than Pismo Beach, obviously. So there's going to be a price change there. This is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, very similar in square footage, and it is active on the market. So for $100,000 difference, a buyer could do a lot with $100,000 if this one has a view versus not a view. So let's go through and look at that view. So the view, to someone that has a view, they're going to beat us regardless if our house is better with a better location. However, our condition of our property, and we're a single, same condition. So we're valuing, this has been on for 60 to 6 days. No matter how beautiful that view is, it's still active. We have that Pismo Beach address, so there is value there. And we do have a peekaboo view of this. So we could use this as a comparable, but of course we have to adjust our price because of the location. Every single one of these comps, I can go through and make up a scenario of why it fits for the way I need to make the comp. Do I want to do that? No. You want the ones that are most like your property. But sometimes you run into, you don't have them and you have to make scenarios up. So I challenge you guys to go through and pick random properties and come up with scenarios and think like a buyer and see how you do it in the mirror, write it down, come back on class, tell me what your thought process was and see if like, I'll give you my opinion, throw it out there with amongst the agents. Like, hey, I picked this property. That's what we can do. On the hub, I'll throw a property up and say, analyze this property. And I want everybody to post a comment of give me one negative and one positive and what your value you would be just based on one comp. And let's have some fun and see if like, because all we're doing is coming up with scenarios, making the buyer feel that you've taken the time to analyze stuff. All right, so where did we stop? Here.
Okay.
Here's another Grover. No bueno. Another Grover. Grover. Pismo Highlands. Got to throw it in there. It's got that Pismo address. Again, I only have 4 comps right now. I need 6 to make me feel comfortable. So bottom line, it's got a Pismo address, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,700 square feet, 6,000 square foot lot. Closed, 710. Just in a different neighborhood. I don't even know where that neighborhood is. Oh yeah, it's down
It's
on the left of it. Okay, great. So now I got 2 Can Terrace and I got this neighborhood and I got one in my neighborhood. I'm prepared. Just on that alone, I'm ready to
Did you look
go.
at the pictures on that one to see if the inside of the home is better?
Haven't gotten there yet. So, but I will. Joyce Way, definitely another great one. This is pending. 4-bedroom, 3-bath, 1,900 square feet. It's been pending 7 days. I got to take it. And Grover Beach, no. No. Just because I have my 6 doesn't mean I'm going to stop. I'm going to get through all 38. I want to know. Here's one I've already picked. Here's another one, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2,000, very big home, Joyce Way, same size lot. Got to take it. That's probably a big comp that you used, huh? Yeah, that was
I didn't do radius as much as single level.
okay.
I took my gamble on that. That's,
Okay. So 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2,000 square foot, pending 752. Got to take it. Now we're getting up there. This I got to be careful on because I've already kind of built a price range in my head. I know 690 to 710. So what is the max of my 3%? So that's going to put me at like 614, 21. So at 710, that's going to be 735. It's going to be my absolute max. I start showing comps at 775 that I know are completely different neighborhoods. I don't want to fill my CMA with a bunch of these comps. I want one just to say, hey, there is this valuation that's pushing you. But even that, it's been on the market for 131 days. So if that way I'm prepared that if my client pushes me to a 750 or 760 price, I got ammo to use this to basically bring her down. Because again, think of that trend in the market. Oh, it's not there. Think of that trend. This is my market. This is my range. She's trying to price it off of a whole different trend.